All right, YouTube, just a real quick video um, to share with you what I have found to be the best way to sharpen blades that have, curvy or unique designs. Um, so I do have the little Smith belt sharpener. It's like $30 at Walmart. It comes with like two or three belts. The grit is pretty rough, so it's pretty aggressive. So it works very well for reprofiling. The best thing about this sharpener is that it has these metal guides or sleds that keep the belt flat so that you can actually do a really good flat grind. The trigger, you've got forward, off, and reverse. And so forward, the belt goes, looking at it this way, it goes clockwise around, this way. And then if you, off, and then if you do the trigger, backwards, the belt goes the other way. Great little sharpener. They do not last very long at all. The first one I bought, this same sharpener, I got about 30 minutes of run time and it burned up. Started smoking, that black acrid smoke. So not something you can really depend on, but when they do run, it does a great job. And then I do have a work sharp, and a lot of guys absolutely swear by these work sharp machines. And you can see that I'm going to dig in my little bag here, just kind of a sharpening bag. Now this work sharp, it comes with a guide that slides on. There's two bolts, or I'm sorry, two screws in the back there that this slides down on. And this is supposed to be the guide for your angles. And it's got two settings. Down for pocket knives, it says it's a 25-degree angle. And then you click this lever up and it changes. You might be able to see it move here. It changes the angle to a more, I guess, shallow angle. And that says, the up position is for kitchen knives and 20 degrees. Now, I don't run it with this guide on here because if you run it with the guide and what you're supposed to do is as you run your blade through, you squeeze the trigger with your finger and that makes it run, and you slide your knife down, keeping it flush with this guide on this side, and then same thing on the other side. Keep it, flush with that guide, and the problem is that these two different sides are two different angles. So even if you have the most steady hand in the world and you follow this guide and you follow this guide, you'll have one angle on this side of the blade and one angle, completely different angle on this side of the blade. So I just loosened up these set screws in the back here and here, and it allows the guide to slide completely off. So then you just have a rotating belt, and you just have to, by hand, make sure that whatever angle you're doing on this side with your knife, on this side you keep that same angle and get it as close as you can. Now, with a lot of practice, I've gotten really good at it, making the angles the same. But this is I think I paid $110 for this. Good machine. It hasn't burned up or anything. It was quite expensive, and the angle guide isn't worth a fart. But what I really wanted to share with you guys is this diamond sharpening rod. It's one of the oval shaped rods, and I believe this is a a 12 inch rod. It may be a 14. I'm sorry, I don't have my tape measure, but I got this one at a store called the Sportsman's Warehouse, and it is an easy lap. Can't really get my camera to focus. There we go. Easy lap. Carson City, Nevada. And this oval shaped diamond rod is probably the best sharpener that I've got. It's the red tip is the fine grain, which I couldn't tell you, what the grain size is, if it's 1,000, 2,000, but I can tell you it does an absolutely fantastic job on blades with curves or recurves. And just for the sake of letting you know what knives are in the video here, they're all three Cold Steel products. Cold Steel is probably my absolute favorite maker. I like big knives. This is the Cold Steel Towel War in S35 VN steel. And this camera will never focus on this. There we go. S35 VN, made in Taiwan. Of course, the good old triad lock. And then probably the king of all pocket knives, the Raja 2. This knife gets carried a lot. So it's the little stamp there's rubbing off and stuff. But this blade is an absolute phenom. It's big, it's easy to open, it's sharp, and it is just a beauty to behold. This AUS 10A steel, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm not a steel snob. This is AUS 10, and this is S35 VN. I use these two probably equal amounts, and I couldn't tell you the difference between the two steels just by using them. Now I can read online that this will hold an edge for 17,000 years while cutting through concrete, blah 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 blah. It's just, oh my god, it's S35 VN. Oh wow, woo. Honest to goodness, and I don't, I am not the authority on probably anything, but I can't tell you the difference that this one holds an edge way longer than this one or vice versa. To me, they both perform really well. And this AUS 10 steel, I mean, I can shave with this right now. It takes a wicked sharp edge, and it seems to hold it as long as any steel or knife that I've ever used. Currently, the Towel War is my EDC. For one thing, it's double or triple the price, and just for a convenience factor, you can see a pretty big difference in the thickness and bulk of the knife. When you have a Raja 2 in your pocket, it's there. I mean, it's comfortable. It's not like, it's digging into your leg or anything like that, but you've got a pocket full. I do really like this low profile that Cold Steel has on their espadas and this Towel War. It's very thin, this way. Thin profile, big, beautiful. It's got all the notches. It's very comfortable in your hand. Any grip you can imagine. I mean, even reverse. Great knife. But anyway, really getting off topic, getting excited about the knives here. And then, of course, the Cold Steel Steel Tiger. And, if you are going to carry something like this and use it to, say, cut boxes or, EDC it, and you think you're going to be cutting with it, this blade is not something that you're going to be able to sharpen on a flat stone. Now, you can certainly sharpen it on, a belt sharpener, either the work sharp or the Smith sharpener would work just fine. But for quick touch-ups, this diamond rod is just the way to go. It's it just works very well. So just wanted to share that with y'all. A little bit of sharpening equipment here. I do have some very good quality whetstones that I very much like, but they're a lot more time consuming. You have to soak them in water for 2 or 3 minutes to get them saturated, and then you can sharpen. And then as the stone begins to dry out, you soak it again. I just soak them in like a Tupperware full of water, get them fully saturated again, and then back to sharpening. And you can get an absolute razor edge on a good whetstone. But for just everyday construction worker that cuts a lot of stuff with his knife and just needs to be able to and get that very good cutting edge back to relatively sharp and usable, this is the way to go. I paid, I think, $40 for this. It was like $36 or $40, so it's not cheap by any means, but definitely the fastest and most effective all-in-one that I own. Because you're not always gonna want to haul this or this around in your vehicle. If you need to sharpen your knife, touch it up once a day, you're plugging in, and then you're messing with your sharpening belts and changing grit sizes, and you know what I mean. It's just not as nearly as convenient as this. I stick it between the seats in the front of my truck, and if I harvest a deer and you know I've cut through so much hide and meat that, okay, my knife is getting a little bit, dull, I can just whoop this out and a couple times on this side and this side with the blade. Good to go, back to hair popping sharp. So, hope this helps, and enjoy.